In what is being seen as a big win for Donald Trump, the Supreme Court of the United States has ruled that the former president is protected from prosecution for acts that they commit while acting in their official role under the Constitution, but not for the actions taken in a private capacity, essentially implying that Trump cannot be put behind bars for the several cases that he faces. Now, the Supreme Court ruling was in Trump's 2020 election interference case. This is by far, remember, one of the most significant pieces of good news that Trump has received from the US legal system in recent times. Remember, only recently he was convicted in 34 felony counts. Now, this SC decision means that a trial in a case against Trump will now be pushed back until after the November election. And if Donald Trump wins, the Justice Department might have to drop the cases against him. However, the Supreme Court did not dismiss the indictment, alleging that he illegally schemed to cling to power after he lost to President Joe Biden. While Trump hailed the decision as a big win, Biden said that the court had done a terrible disservice to the American people. So how does this entire saga now play out for Republicans as well as Democrats ahead of the November presidential elections? I'm joined by Ray Locker, senior American journalist and author on Nation Tonight, to help us understand this entire saga better. Ray, good evening. Namaskar. Thank you very much for joining us on Mirror Now. A big setback for the Democrats, Ray, considering that the SC has ruled in favor of Donald Trump and all former presidents, in fact, in this case, ahead of the November presidential elections. It is clearly a setback for the Democrats?
Shreya, I think it's a setback for all Americans. This court has again shown that it will bend over backward to protect Donald Trump. And this is not the first time it's done it. You saw in his ruling yesterday, Chief Justice John Roberts used similar language to what he did in the case of Trump versus Hawaii in 2018, when they ruled in favor of his so-called Muslim immigration ban. And, yesterday Roberts said, oh, it's fear-mongering, some of these hypotheticals, that people were using, like, could the president order SEAL Team 6 to kill a political rival? Well, we've seen Trump over and over again do things that confound typical norms. And what he's saying that he will do now, if he's elected again, how he will use, the Justice Department to go after his rivals and seek retribution. And, in a lot of ways, he's promising another criminal act. And now the court has given him, a kind of a seal of approval to do just that.
Ray, also help us understand how does this move forward, considering the fact that Donald Trump has now challenged the Manhattan verdict as well, where he's been convicted on 34 felony counts. Is there any likelihood of him getting relief there?
Not from this ruling. The conduct that happened in the New York case was before he was elected president, has to do with falsifying business records when he was a private businessman, not when he was president of the United States. So I don't really see much crossover there, although I'm sure there are some creative minds legal minds who are working on that.
This decision by the Supreme Court, Ray, had a 6-3 verdict. So three judges, having that dissent from the other 6 judges. And what they have termed as their reasoning behind this dissent is the fact that this opens up and gives leeway to a lot of what they call nightmarish decisions that might be taken by the future presidents of America. And this could include the likes of incidents where they could even attempt a coup to stay in power, or even, go on in worst case scenarios, plotting against their rivals and getting them assassinated. So that clearly sort of, opening up a lot of debate in America.
Well, I think that's what people have feared that Trump would do, and Trump did do. I mean, when you look at what happened on January 6th, he could claim that was in his official capacity as president, which is frightening. I mean, it was an unprecedented attack on, the U.S. transfer of power in an election that he knew that he lost. And so this opens the door for all sorts of shenanigans. And you look back 50 years ago when President Richard Nixon resigned, facing possible prosecution for obstructing justice in the Watergate investigation. Under this ruling, that activity could probably be protected. And in that case, he tried to use the CIA to stymie an FBI investigation into something that his campaign had done. There's really, you could see that happening now because of this ruling, and that's not a good thing. I mean, the court has basically given Trump a blank check to do whatever kind of criminal activity he wants to do. And, it's even more concerning now after Thursday's debate, in which President Biden did not do well. And people are going, oh my God, Trump could get elected again. And now the court says, well, you can pretty much do whatever you want as long as you claim it's in your official capacity as president.
But Ray, the fact of the matter is that we can talk as much as we would like against Donald Trump and how this opens up a lot of potential nightmarish scenarios if he's given that leeway. And there are a lot of perception building around Donald Trump. But the fact of the matter is, Ray, that in opinion polls and popularity levels, you see Donald Trump surging ahead of Joe Biden, the incumbent president. What would you say to that then?
I would say that he's leading Biden in the polls, but you would not see him leading with more than 50% of the polling support because he's never had the majority of support in this country. Not in 2016, not in 2020. He's very fortunate, and he's running against an 81-year-old incumbent who showed that he was not really up to snuff on Thursday, and that's made Trump look better by comparison. But the more and more, exposure Trump has now, I think that will lower his support. He did well on Thursday, relatively speaking, but he always finds a way to make himself look bad. And so I don't go, oh, wow, the court ruled in his favor and everybody loves Trump and Trump can do whatever he wants. No, I don't think that's been processed yet.
I get your point, Ray. And since you talked about the first presidential debate, that clearly had Donald Trump, performing better than President Biden. Uh, but how do you see this really moving forward? The fact that President Biden's age has been a cause of concern, and it was quite evident, to be honest, Ray, in that debate as well, where he was replying and responding to questions. And he did take it up after the debate as well when he was addressing his supporters. But clearly, there is a lot of concern regarding his age, regarding the fact that, there are questions about whether he can continue for the next 4 years.
Look, that's a red flag. He had a pretty low bar to clear on Thursday, and that was to show people that he could handle 90 minutes in a debate with Donald Trump. This is the format that Biden asked for. And so he pretty much got everything he wanted, then he failed to deliver. And so people are rightly concerned. To me, I think the fear of a Trump presidency outweighs concerns over Biden's age. But a lot of people don't feel the same way. And they were looking for some kind of reassurance, and they didn't get it on Thursday. And so for the Biden team to say, oh, you're being unreasonable, I mean, that's crazy. People wanted him to do well, and he didn't do well. And so that was a huge problem.
Okay, my last question then, Ray. How do you see this really panning out? It's an election year. November is just a few months away. We are seeing, the Supreme Court ruling in favor of Donald Trump. There is, of course, still some cases left against him. We've got President Joe Biden, who might look a little better when it comes to his comparison with Donald Trump, but there are concerns about him as well, whether it's his policies or his handling of illegal immigration or his age concerns. How do you see this really now moving forward?
Well, Biden's not getting any younger. That's obvious. None of us is. So, there's only a limited amount he can do on that. He's got to step up his game, make every public appearance his best possible one, make people forget about what happened on Thursday and keep pushing forward and hope that he can get the rest of his base to coalesce around him while making the contrast with Trump. I don't think there's much Trump can do to like be appealing to more people. And he's not really trying to. He's going to keep his people, hope that Biden's doesn't keep his people. And Biden has to get more people to come around to his line of thinking and make them believe that Thursday was an anomaly. And if he messes up again, it's just going to be another problem for him.
All right, we leave it there. Ray Locker, let's see how this pans out for the both of the gentlemen in the United States who are fighting it out in this year's elections. Thank you very much, Ray, for joining us tonight and sharing your perspective and helping us better understand the situation. Thank you very much.